The Desmodus Draculae. Cute, cuddly, and cool. I have 100 days to complete Scorched Earth, using only Desmodus Draculae, my own sweat, grit, and determination. But before I start this 100 days, there is some preparation needed. With the help of my main survivor, and some Moss-Chop's fodder, I tamed a high-level male and 2 low-level females on Fjordor. The male is level 223 with some decent stats, and the stats of the 2 females really don't matter that much, since I would breed out the bad stats with the good. I uploaded the Desmodus, and my main, and then headed over to Scorched Earth, unclaimed the trio, said my goodbyes, and here's where our adventure begins. I made my alt, skipped Helena talking to me because I really don't care, and scratched my chunky arm, and took a moment to catch my bearings before running to one of the obelisks. I realized a little bit too late that I spawned precisely where I didn't want to be, so I fed myself to the snake and the wolf. I respawned closer to the red obelisk and began running my way there, and became dehydrated almost immediately. 2 pegos decided to follow me for a bit, so I couldn't pick up resources to rehydrate myself, and I was in quite the pickle. I accidentally picked up this pumpkin and the 2 pegos ended me on the spot. I spawned in again, and died again. A lot, a few more times. I'm starting to rethink my life decisions. Eventually I decided to scale the side of this mountain. Fortune favors the bold after all. By sheer dumb luck, I managed to get to the red obelisk. Some rules to this challenge. I will not use the Desies until I can craft them a saddle at level 74. So I best get cracking then and get some levels in me, huh? After dying to this raptor, I started crafting the basic tools of survival, like clothes, a stone pick to get some flint to make a hatchet, and a boomerang. I didn't waste any time putting it to use either. After harvesting some hide, I crafted bolas and hunted more dinos for meat and hide. I managed to outplay this saber-tooth, but then I was in a full panic and made some very terrible decisions in the moment. Then the saber cat got the last laugh. I died a few more times. Managed to settle at the red obelisk for the night, and then got a really big jump scare from the dodo wyvern. As I was harvesting resources on day 2, I ran out of stamina and became an easy meal ticket for 2 saber-toothed tigers. I died a few more times than I care to admit here at the red obby, and I made the executive decision to move somewhere else. I decided here, at 50-50 coordinates on the map, smack dab in the middle for ease of travel. The plus was water. The downside was, I had to fight for my life every few seconds, because something always wanted a bite of a glam sandwich over here. But little do they know, this sandwich bites back. I somehow managed to harvest metal from the mountains, and this tech raptor graciously gave itself for my campaign. I harvested oil and metal from it. After playing Australia Survival Evolved, I crafted a base camp, complete with beds, storage, a smithy, and a forge. I started off day 3 at war with animals in the scrub. I needed the experience to hit level 74 as quickly as possible, so I laid the beat down on anything that was unfortunate enough to even look at me funny. Then I ran up the side of this mountain to harvest metal and crystal, and I got a good look at my home from up high. I really didn't want to run back down the mountain, so I crafted a parachute and made a leap of faith. I felt pretty big-brained after that play. After floating down ever so gently, a Polovia managed to get me, and I engaged in a literal fight for my life. Our fight had continued on the ground, and I had the upper hand until I ran out of arrows, and before the Polovia could land the fatal blow, a Capro got me with an RKO. I eventually got my stuff back and continued my onslaught until a sandstorm appeared. I ran back to camp and crafted myself some desert goggles so I could see a bit better. And with the chitin and stone I've been harvesting all day, I crafted crossbows and grappling hooks to get around easier and hopefully to have a bit more firepower. I crafted a Desmodus saddle, and I was finally level 74. I made the run to the red obelisk to free my Desmodus. The run didn't see much incident at all. In fact, it was kind of peaceful. I parachuted the red obelisk and freed the level 223 male. Saddled him up and got away right before this Capro made a jump at me. After fending off waves of nuisances, I freed the level 25 female, potted her up, and flew back home so these 2 could get acquainted a little better. Only to see a 2-hour-long mating timer. Nope. Clearly I need to tweak some settings or this 100 days will quickly turn into a 100,000 days playthrough. And I love Ark, but not that much. So while waiting for the timer to run down, I farmed resources and flew around to see the sights. We ran into this alpha death worm, and I had to fight off every ounce of intrusive thought. You've probably noticed Fear Evolved is happening in the background on Scorched Earth. This happens to be a mod, as well as another Halloween mod that makes procedurally generated graveyards appear all over the map. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I had an important task today, find oil, so I could craft a fabricator. I flew all over the map looking for oil jug bugs and checked loot drops for oil pumps, and I found none. None at all. Out of boredom, I decided to fight this rock golem. Yeah, I don't know why, but I eventually gave up. Oil was the brick wall at the moment, holding back my progress. I searched for the rest of the day, and my search continued until day 6. I had to turn the Fear Evolved mod off for today so I could have a chance at normal loot for the map. I read online that you could get an oil pump out of drops, so that was what I was going for. I spent a good portion of the morning loot hunting and managed to get this sick Megalodon saddle. I eventually got really lucky and found an oil pump in a yellow drop. Somewhere over here I heard a Jerboa chitter, and a massive electrical storm hit the area. It sounds scary, but it actually isn't. Sadly, I wish these storms would actually matter instead of just messing with electronics, and I don't even know if they do that anymore. Anyway, after resting for a bit, I eventually found an oil vein and fought off this Rex and rock golem, so I could place it down in peace. Today I decided to finally place some foundations for a proper base. I began the build, only stopping to farm for cactus sap to craft clay for adobe. I finished up building the majority of my base, and a sandstorm had hit the area, and since I didn't have anything better to do, I decided to finally start breeding my Desmodus. They had a baby, and oh, these mating intervals! I think I'm gonna be sick! Some settings appear to be messed up on my end. I'll get them fixed later though. After the storm, the baby had perished, sadly. I forgot to feed it. Whoopsie. At least I didn't name it, so I wasn't attached. That's my cope. I also wanted to build a smelting area so I could harvest a lot of metal and smelt a lot of metal at the same time. Yeah, so I continued to build for the rest of the day. On day 9, I tried for another Desi baby. I'll give you one guess what happened to it. I crafted a lot of S+ forges and decided to do a quick metal run to get my production going. I would eat a lot of saddles for the Manticore fight later. I recycled the remnants of my old camp and put the resources into my S+ crafting stations, and then I made a few fabricators. Probably too many now that I'm actually watching the footage. Then I crafted myself a chainsaw, and since I wouldn't be using farming dinos, chainsaws would prove to be very invaluable. To finish off a very productive day, I made my bats get reproductive. Oh my god, that was terrible. What am I doing with my life? Are these 100 days videos truly worth it? Who am I? What am I? I don't know. I didn't do much on day 10. I took my Desmodus and flew deep into the desert to farm polymer and chitin from the never-ending swarm of bugs that dwell there. I also started to build more of my base. I didn't have any plans in my mind's eye, so I just rolled with it. And since my base was at coordinates 50-50 on the map, I had all kinds of door-to-door guests. I dealt with them how a normal person would, by unsheathing my mail-order katana from AliExpress and slicing them to ribbons. I continued to work on my base into day 11, and on the side I was raising a new mount named Sang. Get it? Cause he's red. Sanguine. He would be my main mode of transportation and defense for the foreseeable future. I also farmed for more resources and I wanted to build turret defenses, so I made crop plots for plant Y seeds. The only problem that I overlooked was I didn't have any fertilizer. And since this was a Desi only run, taming dung beetles was out of the question. I had a long-term plan to use the toilet exploit for unlimited fertilizer, so I placed down stone pipes, and I gave my base the power of plumbing. Unfortunately, I couldn't make a toilet yet because I was behind on my cementing paste as well, so I just farmed rocks. Farmed rocks into the night. I farmed into the morning on day 12 and started crafting cementing paste to make the toilet. While waiting, I needed something entertaining to do, so I continued to breed my Desmodus a bit. I was trying to go for the perfect breeding pair. After spending some time with my bats, I got really bored, and I decided to cut my hair as you do. So I flew up to this mountain, I harvested some obsidian, which was necessary to craft a pair of scissors. When I returned to base, I was ready to craft my new porcelain throne as well. And if you need to look away, I understand. And I popped a squat for the first time ever in any of my Ark playthroughs. Over 2,000 hours, and this is the first time I've actually crafted a toilet. Wow. I've never used a toilet in game before for anything, so this was a first. Akin to Neil Armstrong walking on the moon, truly history was made this day. As well as some brownies. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, here at Glam, we are not above toilet humor. Enjoy. I eventually got my hair cut, and while I was striking a pose for an epic transition, a Prolovia made the mistake of messing up my shot. And then, I just decided to run up and down the riverbed harvesting pearls with this whip. I actually can't play the Devo song, so I guess just use your imagination. When I got home, Sang was finally fully grown, and I took him into the desert to farm death worms. I finally got sick of farming stuff with my basic tools, so the plan was to craft myself a nice mining drill. However, I needed quite a few black pearls. So after farming a ton of metal by hand, I flew back into the desert once more onto the breach to hunt down some death worms. After flying around for a bit, I used my orbital camera to hunt. I stumbled upon this alpha death worm, and at first, I was a little apprehensive, but, you know, I decided to ball anyway. And then I tore this idiot up like a dirty shirt, and then I continued to farm more death worms into day 14. After felling my final death worm, I threw the mats into my fabricator and got that bad boy crafted up. I was rearing and ready to go to give this piece of heavy metal a test run, but unfortunately for me, an electrical storm blew in, and I could not turn the drill on. So I had to wait a little bit. I bred more Desies, and finally got a perfect breeding female, and I could finally start on my mutations. Eventually the storm did pass, and I took the mining drill for a little spin. Here you all go, here's a little heavy metal montage for you. On day 15, I placed even more oil drills and used the new mining drill a lot. This thing was paying dividends, and I consider it one of the most crucial tools in this playthrough. After harvesting my fill, I went back to base, and I bred more Desmodus, and kinda went semi-AFK while the storm tore through the area. While waiting for the babies to grow up, I continued to build my base a little. Look man, this is Scorched Earth. You know what you were getting into watching the video. Not a whole lot to do. My building went deep into day 16, and the highlight of the day was me placing the coup de grace of any base. Oh, the industrial forge. Chef's kiss. I broke down these little terabad baby forges and placed down the meaty indie forge. This thing needs no introduction. So I'm just gonna do a quick flyover and head right into day 17. By day 17, my base was nearing its completion. Finally, the metamorphosis was almost complete. At this point, it was just vanity building, honestly. Yeah, I know, I've been building through most of the playthrough, but, you know, what are you gonna do? It's Scorched Earth. And I don't want to bore you with this anymore, so let's just segue into something more interesting. Oh look, it's raining on Scorched Earth. Wow! For days 18 through 21, I decided to live stream for you guys here on YouTube. I was fairly rusty when it came to streaming, but thank you for everyone that joined. It was a lot of fun. Hold on. Oh, come on! What is that? I let you be. I let you be. Why you gotta do this to me, bro? I was just minding my own business. This used to be such a good neighborhood. So I guess I'll go to the Wyvern Trench and poke around a little. I'm not gonna get any eggs or nothing because, you know, Desi only playthrough. But we'll see if we can get up to a little goofs. Hello, Wyverns. It is I, Glam, YouTube Ark sensation. Oh boy, oh. He's feeling a bit feisty. I'm more afraid of the fire wyverns than the lightning wyverns more than I have made a grave mistake. I have made it. I'm sorry. Look, I didn't. Please. How am I going to get out of this one? Oh my god, I've made such a terrible choice. I can't fly fast enough either. They're gonna knock my bat out. I swear I should really not listen to my impulsive thoughts anymore. Where did the wyverns go? They just kind of disappeared. Ain't no way. Oh wait. That one's still on me. Just one. I think I could handle one. Forgive me. This wyvern has some nice colors, though. Oh, that's right. 1 for glam, 0 for wyvern kind. I also did break the challenge a wee little bit for you guys. I tamed a breeding pair of Jerboa, but strictly for the memes. I need you to understand this. It was for the memes. I did it to make you guys happy. If you don't like it, I don't care. Go watch some other 100 Days YouTuber that talks really fast or blows up their videos with tons of memes. I don't care. And also, I just use them as a cheap and easy source of meat and hide. Look, I never said I was a good guy in Ark, okay? Can I feed it just straight stem berries? I know that drains its food. Oh no, I accidentally the baby! I thought the stem berries would fill it up. Oh, I'm so stupid, man. Y'all just witnessed. I'm gonna have to change my name, stop the stream. We're gonna have to flee the country. I'm gonna go to Mexico. It's a joke, by the way. If YouTube moderators are watching, I'm not really out here. I promise. Just ones and zeros. On day 22, I was sick and tired of having my bats up on the roof, and I wanted to build a very long overdue breeding pen for them. So I flew up to the top of this mesa and started clearing out the land to make a pen. I didn't need anything fancy, just tall enough to keep scorpions and the other riffraff out. I used the mining drill to clear the land of all the bushes too. Then I built the walls and harvested stone. Happy face. We got the Desmodus all lined up and ready for mutation breeding. I set up my information signs, and I explained what these do in my previous 100 days video on the island. So for those of you who are watching who are new, these signs help me keep track of the stats I'm trying to mutate, such as health, stamina, melee. After doing my daily chores, like farming metals, the mining drill broke. So I needed to farm more deathworms later. Oh, what fun. I flew into the desert to explore one of the caves. I figured I might as well grab the artifact inside since we'd be fighting the Manticore at some point. When I got to the cave, I flew over the bads that were guarding the entrance, and I decided to take it slow. I even did more farming while I was down here. I grabbed the artifact of the destroyer, and thought these were buttons to a wall for like a secret area or something. Yeah, I guess not. Oh well. On the way out, I checked this blue drop. I got a thorny dragon saddle and a boomerang. Whoa, how exciting. On the way home, I was starving, and I decided to risk intestinal worms by eating a lot of raw meat. And I guess I went too ham on the consume button because I accidentally, yeah. Whoops. So began the harrowing run to get Sang and my stuff back. It actually wasn't that terrible, I literally outran okay, whatever. After getting my belongings back, I flew home. The next day, after decorating my base a bit more, I opened my gates to go outside and got surprised by this terror bird, which promptly came into my house and speedrun killing all my jerboas. Awesome. After dealing with this wacky character, my bats gave birth to some babies that didn't really make the cut, so I just kinda left to do other things while nature took its course. I crafted a grill as well, because eating raw meat wasn't the most gastronomically sound plan. And then I redid the roof to my base. Normally I don't like box bases, but this time was an exception, since I wanted to go for this classic Adobe house aesthetic. Well, waste not, want not. These jerboas will make some tasty steak at least. I heard kangaroo tastes pretty good, and these things look like kangaroos, kinda. Or chinchillas. Chimichangas. I don't know, dude, they're rats, okay? After cleaning up my base a little, I made my private room finally. I wanted to have a nice area where I could come in and look at the pond. The angler gel from the deathworms make it a nice aesthetic too. I missed my mining drill so much, bros, you have no idea. So I went into the desert farming D-worms for their bee pearls. For some reason, they wouldn't come out of the sand, and I tried to lure this one out by stepping around it, and, well, it worked a little too well because the deathworm came out and ate me alive. The word to describe this exact moment was shook, I do believe. So for some dumb reason, my brain went into complete reptile mode, and I tried to run back to the desert on foot. And that went about as well as you would expect. Look, okay, I wasn't in the right headspace. I just wanted to get my stuff back. After dying a few more times, I remembered that I had more Desmodus back at my base. I flew back to my body and saw Sang going hockey blows with this deathworm, so I flew over and helped him kill the deathworm as best as I could. And he was looking really bloody. One more attack from that deathworm, I wasn't in the mood to find the Alps and find out, so we went straight home. That was such a huge scare, in fact, that I made Sang and some Desmodus have a baby, just in case, you know, the worst would happen. Knock on wood. Not a whole lot going on here on day 26, just far more death worms and crafted the fridge, flashlight mod for the shotgun, and there was a super heat wave at night, somehow. Look, I know during the summers and stuff it can get hot at night, but a super heat wave? Come on, man. I managed to get a flamethrower from a loot drop, and I've personally never used one before, so I was quite curious. The plan today was to make flamethrower ammo, and to do that I needed to gather a few more materials. Before leaving for the day, I did some raising. Sang's daughter needed some imprinting, but here's a spoiler, don't grow too attached. She eventually starved, like most of my Desmodus babies. Raw meat is often an overlooked resource in 100 days playthroughs. Normally you just get a big meat-eating dinosaur like a Rex or a Giga and go to town on the local population. Desmodus, however, they convert a good majority of raw meat to rotten meat. So they aren't the exact best meat farmers out there. But enough about that. I needed oil to make my propellant. So I flew over to my oil drills and gathered a healthy amount for this project. Day 28 I went loot hunting to see if I could get any upgrades. At all. I'll take anything at this point. Beggars can't be choosers. The Ark gods heard my plea because I was blessed with this manta saddle from a yellow drop. Normally, I don't like to explain jokes, but this time I will. Scorched Earth is a desert map, obviously, with little to no water. The fact that we're getting saddles for ocean-dwelling animals is some kind of joke, right? Please laugh. Anywho, I got the propellant crafted and made some canisters of flamethrower fuel. I had the idea to run another cave today, so I flew to the entrance and potted up Sang. I wanted to try and up the stakes a little bit and do this on foot. I'm not sure what's going on with my spawns on this map, but the dinos in the cave weren't spawning, except for this random Megalania that I barbecued. And wouldn't you know it, the first dino I encountered in this cave gave me mega rabies. Good thing I had a lot of blood packs from my Desies or I probably would have died. I took a moment to really soak in the cave and noticed the bottomless pit down below. If I fell, not only would I lose my stuff, but Sang. I managed to smoke a few more cave dwellers and got jump scared by the artifact, because it didn't spawn right away. I grabbed the artifact and flew out on Sang, and as soon as I left the cave, all the cave dinos have spawned in. How goofy. I love you, Ark. As soon as I got home, all of my babies starved. Great. So I spent the rest of my night trying to farm meat so this wouldn't happen again. I know earlier I said I would use only Desmodus to beat Scorched Earth, and that's true, but I needed to do something personal. For those of you who care, or don't, I'm going to exposition dump on you anyway. Scorched Earth was the map that made me get fed up with Ark almost 7 years ago, because of how the wyvern raising system worked. I used to play it on strictly vanilla settings, 1x rates, no mods. I used to be an Ark purist. And raising a baby wyvern in those times was like having a second job. Literally, for a week, my sleep schedule got destroyed. I was waking up at odd hours trying to raise a baby wyvern, and, for lack of a better term, it sucked. After that, I rage quit Ark, and only recently started playing again this year, so I had to do this for me. I flew into the wyvern scar looking for some good eggs. We had outrun wyverns before, so I was feeling confident. Oh, how horribly wrong I was. I attracted the attention of this alpha wyvern and Sang ran out of stamina. And then, yeah, I died. I flew back on one of my spare females and rescued Sang. The wyverns had left him alone for some reason, which was incredibly lucky. I really didn't want to be in this area anymore, so we just left. Then I started farming deathworms again, and I hit the deathworm motherlode. Look at all of them. For day 30, I crafted myself a Fabby sniper rifle to hopefully better defend my home from all the animals that were rampantly spawning in the area. That terror bird getting into my base was the wake-up call I needed to finally get myself more firepower. I tested it out on some capros, and after playing around for a bit, I repaired the mining drill and, well, mined. Yep. And then I tested my sniper rifle a bit more. Then I flew back into the wyvern trench. This time I got really lucky and found a 150 fire wyvern egg. I was nervous, but I'd eventually have to make that leap. I grabbed the egg and flew for dear life. It didn't go so well, and Sang died. I flew back to the area where we bit it, grabbed my stuff, and went home to lament the horrible decisions I've made, and I decided to hatch this egg. I lost Sang over it, so I might as well. And listen, this is a Desi only playthrough, but I already messed that up by taming some Jerboa. Per my chat's request, don't get mad at me. This ain't clickbait. I'm still using Desmodus to beat Scorched Earth. I won't ride the Wyvern. Calm down, everybody, calm down. As the egg incubated, I checked up on the new babies and made darn well sure they had food this time. I'm at day 31 and I don't have an army at all, so I need to keep anything I can get. But I did get a mutation finally. It's a weight one. Oh well, beggars can't be choosers. I did more baby raising today and was low on meat once again, so I took out my chainsaw and started harvesting dinosaurs, but I had a few blunders. Whoops. I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I thought my Desmodus killed this snake, but I guess it didn't. And then my spare Desmodus died, and I ran back to base. I was being chased by this hyenodon, and guess what? Yep, they got into my base and ate me. I spawned back in, managed to grab my stuff just barely. Took care of the home invaders, and my beds are broken, so I just took this opportunity to craft myself some bunk beds instead. And amongst all the commotion, the baby fire wyvern finally hatched, and I named it Sang too. Yeah, it was a female. Oh well. It was at this moment that I realized that I really needed to craft some auto turrets because things continued to get super wacky over here at the coordinates of 50-50. The only problem was I needed a lot of silica pearls for electronics. The solution to this immediate problem was flying along the riverbank farming some with my whip. I went out at night because the pearls were easier to see, of course. It is I, ye, who cast pearls before swine. I gather these pearls in which I may make electronics to make turrets to better safeguard my home. The morning of day 33 I made a lot of electronics, mostly for the auto turrets of course, and of course what's an auto turret without some firepower, so I made a bunch of bullets as well. Afterward, I checked up on my bats and noticed their food getting dangerously low yet again, meaning we were out, so I decided to start harvesting meat the Texan way. I finally caught up with my Desi's ever-growing nutritional needs and wandered around the base for a bit. While checking up on Scarlet, I noticed something peculiar. Oh, she has a melee mutation. Sang himself had a melee mutation right off the bat, pardon the pun. So this entire time, I could have been using him as my melee mutation breeder. But he's currently wyvern poop out in the desert. I could use Scarlet, I suppose, but I'm running out of time. While mulling the idea over in my head, we flew into the desert to farm polymer, and after some time we finally got those auto turrets crafted. I crafted another chem bench to help me keep up with the ever-growing need of gunpowder as well. You know, honestly, come to think about it, this was my only 100 days playthrough where I was absolutely up on gunpowder but down on raw meat, which is weird to me. Anyway, I went out and farmed yet more meat. Look how fast it's going down! I'm not losing my mind! Ah! If there's anything I have learned on my roller coaster to the inevitable grave, if you ignore your problems, they'll eventually go away. I needed to check my automatic turrets and yep, they were targeting fish for some reason. And I can't turn that feature off. That's wonderful. Hey everyone, we're having smoked fish for dinner! You know, some of you guys say that I have a very dry sense of humor. What is that supposed to mean? What if I had a moist sense of humor? Yo, my boy Glam, his jokes be wet. I don't know. My boy got lost in the sauce. I expanded the base a little more today because I crafted another indie forge. Why? Because why not? I made the courtyard a little bigger so I could accommodate it better. While constructing, I noticed some red at the top of my screen. Oh, for Freddy's sake. Get it, Freddy? Because I can't say f. I hopped on the back of my bat to check out the situation. I spent most of the day yesterday farming meat. Surely they can't be out already, right? Yep, we were out of meat once again. Oh my goodness gracious, this is getting ridiculous. So after rebuilding my courtyard for an extra forage, I did a wild dino hunt roundup and led them into the automatic turrets with mixed results. They mostly just ate each other, so the cost of risk versus reward wasn't so great. I did it a second time just to make sure, and oh yeah, it's not that great of an idea. Back to the drawing board. I got so sick and tired of running out of meat, so the majority of day 36 was going out and farming it with a Desmodus, despite the fact that it makes rotten meat instead of raw meat. But I don't care, it needed to get done. I just needed to smoke through it. I came across this parasaur, and after harvesting it with a chainsaw, I had a eureka moment, an epiphany from the gods themselves. Harvesting parasaurs with a chainsaw yielded a ridiculous amount of raw meat. So guess what, everyone? Being a paraser just became an occupational hazard around me. I found another one, and this wild wolf caught me off guard. I pulled out my shotgun, and then I died. I was in a full panic, so I just ran back into the desert naked, which, as you've probably found out by now, is never a good idea. Then I died again from this jump scare saber-tooth. I respawned, but this time I remembered that I had a host of bats to help me search for my stuff. Eventually I got my stuff back, and I just went home. When I returned, I had a melee mutation baby waiting for me, so you know what? Today turned out pretty good after all. Scarlet was fully grown now, so we decided to go out and get some levels and some drops. I found this yellow drop, and it sank into the mesh. I love Ark so much. Oh my goodness, I love this game so much, guys. Then this okay red drop with a nice chainsaw blueprint. Later we got ourselves an explorer's note and headed into the desert to fight off some death worms. Scarlet was taking a lot of damage, and I got a little too close for comfort at one point. She was one more nip away from biting the big one. Thankfully, we were resting in the air. Her passive healing took effect, and then we finished the fight. I also found this red drop, I guess. After farming deathworms for a few minutes, we headed back home. I didn't do a whole lot of anything today. I crafted my new chainsaw and farmed a lot of stone, I guess. How exciting. I farmed yet more stone, rock and stone. I crafted all the cementing paste you could eat. My jerboa minnow was chittering, letting me know that a storm was on the way. So I decided to spend most of my time at base and AFK'd inside my private room while I got you here alone. How about helping your boy out with a subscribe? Maybe a like too. It helps me a lot in the algorithm, and you can always change your mind later. Blah blah blah. It means a lot. Thanks anyway. Okay, back to the video. Sick call to action, bro. Sick. So here we are. The storm passed and night fell across the desert. I used this opportunity to go out and farm crystal, since it would be easier to see. As soon as I hopped off of Scarlet, I was ambushed by two saber-toothed tigers, very reminiscent of day 2. I thought I was done for, but we managed to clutch this one out. I farmed the crystal and got the heck out of there. Well, here's that epic haircut transition that I was denied. Now this is gaming. I decided to finally get an industrial grinder built, but before I could do that, I needed a lot of oil, so I went and checked on my oil pumps, or drills, whatever these things are.
They're oil pumps.
The sight of so much black gold made my American heart warm and fuzzy. I was practically bursting with patriotism. Also, here's a little Thyla jump scare. Back at base, we got the grinder built, and I took this opportunity to clean up shop a little bit. I also made an industrial cooker. I struggled a little bit with the piping, but that's okay. We eventually got it figured out. While waiting for the inevitable heat death of the universe, I decided to remodel the base a little, and I had this really cool idea to build a rooftop garden. So I built some ramps and stuff so I could freely move about. I did all that work, and then realized my entire base was lopsided. Oh, that's great. Yeah, just great. This is why I flunked out of my carpentry apprenticeship program. Oh well, I'll fix it later. I promise this time I will. I know I say this in every single one of my 100 days videos, but I do for real this time, I promise. I also got a sweet stamina mutation baby. And there were a lot of babies that, well, yeah, you already know. So I made good on my promise, and I fixed the lopsidedness of my base. See, I can keep a promise, sometimes. After I got that glaring imperfection fixed, the roof, not me, like the roof of my base, not me as a person. Okay, moving on. I started to build my greenhouse. I made around 8 crop plots when I actually only needed 4. Oopsie daisies. Oh well. I placed the walls down and used Scarlet to help me get a pyramid-ish roof set, and I will tell you, I was having an absolute brain aneurysm trying to place these things down. After a lot of failed attempts, I finally got it right. I did a quick fly around to see if I needed anything else and flew too close to the water. I noticed the beach was looking kind of bare, so I thought about placing something there. I fashioned whatever this thing is. I don't even know. The morning of day 43, I placed down some pipes for my garden. It was kind of unsightly, but I'm from the school of good enough, so I just let it be after I got everything placed down. I also made some lamps to add a bit more light to the area, and these wouldn't be permanent because I kind of like the torch aesthetics. I just wanted to see how they would look, and to me they're just a bit too blinding. I also had an idea to build a bridge across the water just in case I died and needed to do a corpse run or whatever. So I started laying down more foundations, and then farmed more materials to make even more clay for this side project. I farmed late into the night and had to run home because Scarlet was over encumbered, and then I picked up all these crappy lamps. My girl likes to party all the time, party all the time, party all the time. Initially, I wanted to defeat the Manticore by day 100, but after watching a few other 100-day Scorched Earth videos for ideas, because I'm a violent thief, I decided to take on the Gamma Manticore around day 50-ish, then Beta, and finally Alpha by day 100, so I gathered as many able-bodied bats as I could, mutations or no, and lined them up to see what I was working with. I neglected to check my soul terminal for a long time, and there was a lot of poop in there, like an obscene amount. After cleaning up, I threw my bats out to stretch their wings, and then I imprinted and gave them the appropriate names to avoid any confusion. And if you're wondering how I'm getting a 100% imprint, I messed around with the game's I settings. My play style, I don't like to stand around the house and wait for imprinting timers, so I just like to do a one imprint, a nice good one and done if you feel me. That's my style of preference though, and if you enjoy waiting to imprint, you either have too much free time on your hands or you're insane or you're trying to stretch out your 100 days videos for content. You know who you are. But I respect the grind though. So for days 45, 46, and 47, I went out and took the Desies to level in groups of 4. While going on a rampage, we even ran into a few poison wyverns. Fighting these guys were really scuffed because Desies were so slow. And here's the final result of our leveling grind. Roughly 8k HP and 400-ish melee. God help me. On day 48, I finished leveling the few remaining Desmodus and found this powerful poison wyvern in the wild. So you already know what we had to do. I swooped on it and called the bats in for an attack. It was a little too strong, so I was the one who had to slay the beast. This fight literally took most of the day, and after leveling, we finally headed home. I crafted myself some gas masks for a very important mission today. I needed to hunt some wyverns. We left the base with Scarlet to head over to the Wyvern Scar. I needed some of their talons for tribute to the Manticore. I also brought my sniper rifle with me to lure them out of the trench, hopefully one by one. Our first target was this lightning wyvern, and then this fire wyvern. Unfortunately, it also brought a poison wyvern for backup. So I ran, because poison wyverns deal damage to your mount and you at the same time, and I wasn't about to die again over here. I threw on my gas mask and handled the business. Scarlet was out of stamina, and we had to use our shoddy to clean up. After getting the talons I needed, I flew over to the final cave. I wanted to run this one on foot like the other one. And, well, guess what? That turned out to be a huge mistake. This cave had megalosaurs in it. They're nocturnal dinosaurs, and nighttime was fast approaching. The deeper I got into the cave, the more hazards there were. I saw this megalo stand up, and I ran for my dear life. It gave me a solid spook, and I ran right into this mantis. And then I panicked again, right into these two megalania. And I died. When I spawned back at base, a lightning storm was hitting the area really hard, which made for some great footage. In the morning, I waited out the storm because I couldn't see anything. I normally play with lower gamma settings, so it made seeing the ground a little bit difficult. In one of my other 100 days videos, someone commented and complained that I have low gamma. Well, listen here, buddy, that's because I actually like the challenge in the game. I want my flashlight to matter. In real life, if you go outside with no light, it's dark. I enjoy that. It makes nighttime scary. Go figure. Anyway, snark aside, I eventually got back into the cave and got my stuff back. I didn't want to mess around anymore, so I just flew the rest of the way there. Got the final artifact and left. When I got back home, I made myself some new weapons, a fresh set of flak armor, and a lot of bullets as well as some med brews. I have never fought the Manticore, ever. Well, outside of like Primal Fear, but I don't think that one counts. I took a moment to look over my army of darkness and reveled in it for a bit. I am now Count Glamcula. Whew, here we go. Day 51's the big day. You better believe it, buddy. I whistled follow all for my bats, and we headed over to the green obelisk. With fire in our belly and triumph in our eyes, we flew. I made sure all of my battle bats had drained life enabled. I whistled for them to stop following, and they flew all over the obelisk, so it took a long time to get cleaned up. I realized a little too late that I forgot the artifacts. Dang it. I also realized that I was missing some wyvern talons. Double dang it. So, the Manticore fight would have to wait while I go out and farm the materials. Alright, let's get it done. Wing bang boobity bop! Okay, now we're ready to fight the Manticore for real. So on day 52, I loaded up the tributes and the artifacts into the terminal, and I hit that button. I was very nervous behind the screen. I didn't know if my Desmodus would be strong enough. We entered the Manticore's arena, and it let out a bellow. And I bellowed back. Rawr. I have no fear. I tried to mount my main bat, Isabella, but I couldn't find her in the crowd, so any bat would do, just so long as I wasn't standing there like a sitting duck. My bats and I took to the sky. And this battle theme is brought to you by my friend Peter. He's a musician in real life. You should check out his channel. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. This is my very own glam theme song. Well, Count Glamcula theme song. Minutes passed, and we chased the Manticore all over the arena. I pulled out my automatic rifle to help DPS a little bit, but I was actually doing more damage than good because I was hitting my bats. I'm so sorry. For this fight, it was very hands-off. I just kind of flew around and let the bats do their business. I got in a few pokes here and there. I wasn't completely a coward this fight. Towards the end of the battle, some bats had begun to fall asleep, and they were getting absolutely pummeled by rock golems, and the bat I was riding is one of the victims. As soon as my bat fell asleep, it dismounted me, and I thought I was a goner for sure. But I got really lucky when this rock golem swung his mighty fist and threw me into the wall, which cushioned my fall. Hey, that rhymed. I ran very heroically the opposite direction and stood upon the platform and watched my bats go to town on the Manticore. The Manticore had never seen much bull guano before. That was terrible. I really need to script my videos. I can't think of stuff on the fly. Eventually, that mutated pussy cat hit the ground, and my bats were flying around in the air triumphant. I ran over to the Manticore to see if I could get any loot because I wasn't sure if I would lose loot. It ended up in my inventory, so that was good. And then, as the timer counted down, the screen flashed white. And I was spirited away, looking upon all of the arcs. And then it hit me. Oops, I accidentally beat Scorched Earth. So I technically completed this challenge. I beat Scorched Earth in 100 days using only Desmodus. But there's still much more to do. I ain't gonna leave you guys hanging at day 50, but this video might be a lot shorter than we anticipated, I'm not sure. I checked my inventory to make sure I still had my boss loot, and wouldn't you know it, my element was gone. Great. That's awesome. Thank you, Ark. Well, next up the beta Manticore. Here we go. I wanted to get the worst cave on the map done right away so I wouldn't have to worry about it later. Let me tell you all something. At this point, I had felt complete and fulfilled, so I got really careless. I died about 4 times running this cave, and it took most of the day. I brought half of my army to help me get this stupid artifact, and these stupid rubble golems were proving to be quite problematic for me. The first death was me shooting the rubble golem with my rifle while my bat did the heavy lifting, and I got cornered by these scorpions. The second death, I got dunked on by the rubble golem. It broke my gear, and I ran for some reason right into another rubble golem and his mantis girlfriend. We eventually killed the rubble golem guarding the artifact, and I grabbed it, and then we killed the second rubble golem so I could get my stuff back, and then, oh, wouldn't you know it, here are some wolves. I flew back again on day 54 and eventually got all my stuff back. I went back to the wyvern trench to get more wyvern talons. Yep. And I decided to pull an epic goof on this alpha fire wyvern by getting it stuck in the mesh for an easy kill. I sat behind this rock and let my desies peck at it while it just sat there like a baller. After some time, we flew into the air and I picked it off. I landed where the body was to get a cool screenshot, but this stupid Argentavis messed it all up. Stupid. I decided to be very proactive today and get the 2 remaining artifacts, but they weren't home at the moment, so I led cave dinos into the death pit. After waiting about 20 minutes at each artifact location, they didn't spawn, so I just spawned them in. I'll be awaiting your rage in the comments. And bred more Desies for the beta Manticore. Day 56, I just farmed berries and stone and checked up on my bats. And if the day seems too short, well, in all honesty, I just kind of want to get this video done. I'm tired of editing. And I just want to get the beta fight over and done with so I can look cool in front of all the other Ark YouTubers. Maybe they'll accept me then, I don't know. I'm going to try and read this as boring as possible. Okay, you ready? I farmed a lot of wood today. And I suppose I should introduce you all to Fat Bat. She's my cargo bat, specifically raised for weight. She says hello. Wow, it doesn't sound too far off from how I normally talk. Let's see, let me put on my reading glasses here. It says in my notes I just farmed and built for the entire day, and yeah, that checks out. Hey, I'll see you all tomorrow. I'm still building! I managed to get the bridge built finally, but a sandstorm rolled in, so I just went AFK and I spent time with my family. On day 61, I fought the Manticore once again, and this time I was a bit more proactive, slightly, not much actually. I pulled out the bat gat and helped my bats as much as I could before I just flew to the platform and let them shred. Before long, the beta Manticore went down, and this time I was smart and put my boss loot inside of a bat right before I teleported away. I spawned back in and used my wyvern, oh no, to fly back to check on my bats and potted them up. Luckily, my plan worked and I kept all of my element. And I thought about crafting my self-attack replicator until I saw how many black pearls I'd need. Oh, Ark, you're so funny. I am not going out there and farming 100+ black pearls from death worms. There ain't no way, Chief. Even with 4 times boosted rates, you couldn't pay me money to do that. Well, actually, maybe you could. Fingers crossed this video gets to 300,000 views. Daddy needs a new transmission for his truck. Alright. I'm gonna be real with you all. I might have slightly miscalculated the itinerary of this 100 days video. I beat both Gamma and Beta Manticore sooner than I had anticipated. So I was struggling really hard to find fun things to do. My settings were also super boosted because I thought this would be a normal 100 days video. You know, I'd go in, say some jokes, make an army, get some artifacts, maybe fight the bosses, and clear alpha by day 100, you know, business as usual. Well, that didn't quite happen this time around, so the next 50 days will be quite brief in appearance because I did a whole lot of nothing, and I mean nothing. I was looking for things to do. I didn't have things to do. I had to actively go out and look for stuff to be entertained. Like this, I made taxidermy bases and got wyvern skins. That's how bored I was. Well, I finally went out and did something. I went out to get all 3 of the artifacts in one day, since there's literally no excuse not to. I flew to the desert cave and luckily the artifact spawned in this time. I grabbed it, checked this yellow drop on the way out, and got a Mastercraft Mantis saddle. Such a crying shame too. I'd never use it. On the way over to the central cave, I started wasting pots of oil. There's no joke. I flew into the central cave and wouldn't you know it, no artifacts, so I flew over to the hard cave. I had just barely landed to give my bat a break when I was buffeted by a sandstorm, and I tried to wait it out, but I got bored and crept my way over to the artifact cave, and slowly made my way inside. I really didn't want to waste any time, which is funny because it's all I had at this point. Anyway, I flew over all of the things that wanted to drink my intestines through a straw, and took a moment to look at this godlike megalania. My grasp on reality right now be like, please laugh. I made it to where the artifact was and then bodied everyone in the room and grabbed the artifact just before some wolves ate my arms. And then I left. Epic leaving montage. Today I decided to build a tower to try and reach the bat pen. The first half was going well, till I decided to put elevator tracks on it, which didn't work, and I gave up and did something else. I'd never ever end up using this tower, by the way. I flew around my base and checked all of the plants to make sure they had fertilizer and took a moment to plan more projects around the house. I had this idea to build a really cool metallic pyramid in a riverbed. So I crafted a lot of metal foundations and single-handedly undid 56 days of metal farming and cementing paste grinding. I'm an idiot. I started construction of the pyramid. Bottom text. There's not much to talk about today.
It's day 69, guys. It's day 69. Can you believe it? Whoa, it's day 69. The funny number.
I'm slowly losing my mind. I'm so sorry. I think the Thanksgiving turkey was undercooked this year. Alright, anyway. On the hilarious number day, I flew to the World Scar to look for more wyvern eggs and to farm some talons for the Alpha Manticore. I did find a decent 128 poison wyvern egg, and I used the aggro from stealing it to harvest talons easier. And then I just decided to hang out here for the rest of the day. I don't know why. Like I said, that turkey was undercooked. To me, slapping a compilation of 10 days together without cataloging each individual day seems kinda lazy to me. But guess what? I'm feeling kinda lazy, so I'ma do it too. Why not? Every other Ark YouTuber does it. It's my time to shine. I just did various chores around the house for the most part, and built when I could. Then I killed this jerboa that totally didn't deserve it. He was just around me at the time. After smoking the jerboa, my bat got into a fight with this raptor, and it was probably the most entertaining thing that happened in these 10 days. Or not. You'll just have to wait and see. I decided to decorate the base with windmills while waiting for my poison wyvern egg to hatch. I had an idea to see if I could tame a rock elemental too, and for some reason I thought I could do it with rockets, so I wasted a ton of time and resources crafting a rocket launcher and some homing missiles and headed out to look for a decent leveled golem. I came across this steppe wyvern stuck in a rock and had a wicked thought. So I popped a rocket up its butt and it didn't like that too much. After being a complete menace for a little bit, I found a rock golem and tried to knock it out with rockets, and I inevitably gave up because it wasn't working. I went to the wyvern's house again and stole this kinda bad lightning wyvern egg. I fought off some angry mommies with my big rockets. Har, har, har. Man, guess what? I blew myself up, so that's instantaneous karma for you. Oh, hey, guess what? A 100 days video using only Desmodus seems really cool. I hope my viewers like it. Oh, hey, what's this on the ground here? Oh, it's just my Ark YouTuber uniform. Don't worry about it. Ha 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 ha! I eventually went over to the Coliseum and looked around for a bit. I wanted to see if there was anything inside, so I did a ghost command for a little bit. And on day 80, I was AFK because I had to use the toilet, and a super heat wave hit the area. And oh my goodness, I could have been here waiting and looking for the Phoenix. Oh my god, I'm so mad at myself. Why did I have to be a human for 30 minutes? Why? On day 81, it was time to take on the Alpha Manticore. We flew in and I tried to do just business as usual. And here is where my mistake came through. Instead of spending the last 30 days doing something meaningful like breeding stronger bats to take on the Alpha Manticore, I thought using my beta army would be good enough. And well, that proved to be a very horrible mistake. The Manticore got to about 1/3 of its health and then just went complete sicko mode and killed all of my bats. And I was the last one standing. I tried fighting back, but all my gas masks broke and then the Manticore dealt its fatal blow. Yeah, your boy got slam dunked. Since I wiped, I wouldn't have enough time to build an army back up to fight the Alpha, and honestly, I'm gonna be real. I felt pretty contented with all I had achieved in this playthrough. I fought both Gamma and Beta. And you know what? Yeah, that's good enough for me. So I'm not even gonna sweat it no more. Nope. So for the rest of the playthrough, I just did odd jobs around the house. And I'm not gonna bore you guys with all that. So day 90 doesn't exist because I forgot to hit record. Uh-oh. I know, I'm such a professional YouTuber. I'll be sure to fire the editor post-haste. Lamb, you're fired. Pack up and get out. So here's the rundown of what happened. The superheat hit the area, and I died. Sang was lost, and so I got on my poison wyvern Etir to find her. I searched the mountains all day for Sang, and as soon as the sun fell behind the horizon, I found her perched on this mountain with all of my stuff. I grabbed my goods, and slowly flew home. And for the next 8 days, I'm sorry to disappoint, I didn't do anything. I just chilled. Video's over. Just kidding, haha, epic prank. I made it to day 100, and here we are at the big day 100. Thank you all for making it this far in the video, it means a lot, and since you're here, please consider subscribing. A lot of time goes into making these 100 days videos. And leave a like if you loved it, leave a dislike if you hated it. Glam, signing off. Here's a video recommended by YouTube, and here's my 100 days playlist. Also, be sure to check out my 7 days to die video, it only has 100 views. I don't know why, it was pretty fun to me, I guess. Anyway, goodbye. Goodbye.